Hello everybody, Mike here. Over the last year, I have made £11,000 making short films on YouTube using AI. In this video, I'm going to break down the entire process of how I make my videos so that you can do the same. I'm going to share the entire process from ideation through scripting, voice generation, storyboarding, image generation, and animation, and final assembly. The entire process, nothing left out. And just to show you that I am not talking nonsense, here are my numbers. I have made £11,664 over the last year since monetizing. For my American viewers, that is about $15,500. That's from 4.2 million views. I have about 32,000 subscribers at the moment. And yeah, this is making me money, and it's a business. I put out a video about once a week, and putting out that many videos, sometimes it was 2 a week. You inevitably develop systems and a workflow that is repeatable. So I'm just going to show you the entire thing. We're going to do a specific scenario. I'll make a 3 to 4 minute short film. I'm going to have a very basic premise, but I'll be utilizing my entire process, so nothing will be left out. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first thing you need is an idea. So for me, I just thought, well, let's do a cyberpunk thing because that's what I feel like making today. So what am I going to do to start that? Well, I'm going to go head on over to ChatGPT. I'm going to go explain it precisely that's what I want. Okay, I'm going to do a short film about a cyberpunk protagonist. He's on the run from the authorities and he's narrating his journey through treacherous streets in a neon cyberpunk dystopia. I want this to be about 3 to 4 minutes long, aim for about 500 words. Proceed. So I'm just asking ChatGPT to write me what will basically be our script. There we go. So now we've got our script, we head on over to ElevenLabs. ElevenLabs has been the go-to for AI voice generation for a while, for very good reason. It is very good. So we're going to go to Studio here. And when we've got this up, we will just paste our script in right here. So when we've got our script pasted in, we actually have to find an appropriate voice for this narration. So we need to try out some voices, or we need to make one. So I'm actually going to make a custom voice for this project. And for that, I'm just going to ask ChatGPT to make a real simple voice prompt creator. Do a simple prompt for ElevenLabs voice creator to make a voice for this character. Now, when I've done voice creation on ElevenLabs, I genuinely found that something like this, very sparse, works better than, say, something like this. So I'm just going to paste that across. And I think you also can do some preview text. Let's get rid of that preview text that's in there. Generate some preview text as well. There we go. We've got our preview text. Paste that across. Generate voice. And wait.
Rain has a way of making this. Rain has a way of.
I don't like any of these. So I'm going to actually change the prompt here because it's actually really rubbish. I thought it defaulted to a very bog standard narrator. So we're going to try something a bit more in line with what we're actually going for.
Rain has a way of making the city look honest. Neon.
Rain has a way of making the city look honest.
Rain has a way of making
the city look honest.
Okay, I'm not going to think about this too long. We're going to call this guy Cyberpunk Guy. Save that voice, go back to our project, see if we can find him, change all of this to our new character. Okay, then we're going to export our audio. Now, what some might say, looking at my process and my way of doing things, is they might say that storyboarding should come after scripting rather than doing the voice generation straight away. There is a good reason that I do the voice first, and it will become obvious as we actually get into the storyboarding. Okay, so our audio is done. I've downloaded it. The next step is to start storyboarding. So the storyboarding process is pretty simple. The reason that I do the audio first becomes very obvious right now. And that is because the first thing that I need to do is roughly work out how many shots I need for the project. And I can't do that unless I know how long the video is going to be. Now, I know that this video is about 5 minutes long, so that's 5 times 60, 300 seconds in total. And with that number in mind, I, through experience, know that an average shot in my project needs to last about 4.5 seconds. So that is my average shot length as a whole on every video that I make. So how do I work out how many shots I need? Well, I take the length of my video, which is 300 seconds, I divide it by 4.5, which tells me if I want to meet my average shot length for this project, I need about 66 shots. So knowing that number, let's look at this. This is our script. It's pasted here in just a plain old Word document. Now it's a bit messy, and I'm going to just take this ChatGPT and just for formatting's sake, I just want to clean this up. So I just didn't like the whole way it was formatted. It's going to make storyboarding a pain in the ass if it stayed the way it was. This looks a lot better. So now if we head back on over to our document, this is much better. Here we go. So for this very first stage of storyboarding, what I do is I add these brackets below each paragraph, and I will put either 3x3 or 2x2, or some occasions, hero. I'm not actually using hero at all for this project, but what that would mean is one dedicated shot. What these indicate and what they're going to instruct my AI to do is what type of shots to make. Now this is just shorthand, and you can see I've done these first two here. This is just shorthand for the type of grid shot I want to see. We're going to get into what I mean by grid shots, but just long story short, we're going to do one image with 9 different frames in it, and that will be associated with that paragraph. So below each paragraph, I have these brackets. They indicate the shot type I want, and that will be associated with the paragraph immediately above it. So for this paragraph here, I'm going to put below it 3x3 bracket. Same below this one, and this one, and this one, and so on until we get to the end here. And I'm going to do a 2x2 for that one. And that's the very, very first stage. Now what we do with this very basic document is we take it over to here, Claude, I've already done this, paste it in, and we say, here's a storyboard I have. I want to expand on all the shots and turn those basic, like those bracketed things into directorial shorthand for each one. And then it does it. So what you end up with is something like this. So this, as you can see, is basically that, but filled in. And you can see if I go further down, this entire storyboard has been filled out. This is not the finished image prompt. These are just directorial shorthand for our image prompter, which is in a different project space. But as you can see as well, everything's built in. Like these are all directorial like shots. So you've got high, wide, ceiling camera angles, you've got medium shots, close shot, medium again, over the shoulder shot. These are all shots that directors use in films. So then we take this over to our image prompting project space, and that's where the fun begins. So this is another dedicated project space that I have for image prompting. What this space is for is taking that raw material, that storyboard, taking those shorthand descriptions of what we want to see, and then it turns that into a proper image prompt. Okay, so it's, as you can see, it's read the storyboard. It's asking me some questions on the style closer. So all of these questions it's asking me are based on guidelines that I've baked in. So I always finish my image prompts with a style closer, and that's what it's trying to establish here. So I'm going to go with Blade Runner 2049, because why not? And like, yeah, this is the first stage of image prompting. Okay, and then what we get after answering those questions is something like this. So it starts to lock in the style closer, and this is what's going to go at the end of every single image prompt. And then it gives us a character creation prompt. So this is actually the first thing we do before making any of those image prompts for the actual film we're making, is we're just going to lock in a reference for this character who is appearing throughout. So I'm going to take that, drag it on over here to Nano Banana Pro on high-lower. I'm going to set the dimensions to 4K, 9:16, and what this is a reference that we will supply when we make our images so we can keep this character consistent throughout the whole movie, or film I should say. Meanwhile, we will feed it the first batch of this storyboard. We'll do this in 2 batches. I'm going to paste across this, and I'm going to say, let's do the first batch of images. We'll do this in 2 batches overall. Let's begin. Now what this should do now is it should give us 6 ready-to-go image prompts. There's our character reference. This is going to be the star of our mini film that we're making. And as you can see, that 2x2 and the 3x3 thing is coming back into play. We shall paste the first one across. Here we go. Let's get our second one. Do you see how quick this is working? I'm not writing any of this. The AI knows what I want because I've established it over time. I can't emphasize how important it is to develop systems that work for you and automate the process. It allows you to get so much more work done, so much faster. Take a look at our first result. Well, this is, yeah, I'm loving this. Right, so what you can see here is a cinematic 2x2 grid. This is a 4K image, so when you split these down, it's going to be HD. Now, same applies to these 3x3 grids when they're done. This will be 9 images from one 4K image. The reason I do this and prompts this way is because Nano takes time. You know, it takes time to wait for generations to complete. And if I was trying to do like a big long film, I mean, even this project, 66 images, instead of making 66, which is what I calculate from my average shot length, I can actually make more than that with literally 12 images, which is what this is, which saves so much time. Okay, all of our images are done. As you can see, we've got all our grid shots here, all good to go for our entire story. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to download them, and then I'm going to add them to a folder like this, and then just name these in turn like this. So what I do next is I go over to this app I made in Claude. This is called Grid Splitter, and I have 2 folders here. So I'm going to drag all the 3x3 images, which are here, paste them across, and do the same for the ones with 4 in. Then I'm going to open the app. At the moment, it's very primitive, so I have to open it with command prompts. I do need to actually fix that at some point. So I give it these 2 commands. There's the first one, and here's the second one. And what that's doing automatically, as you can see, is splitting our images down to individual frames. And when it's done, what we end up with is 98 images from 12, which would have taken us a lot longer if we'd have done them all individually. Now, we don't even need 98, so we can now look through this and go, right, which one of these can we afford to get rid of? So I'm looking at this, and I'm just going to scurry through it real quick. Not going to overthink this. What's next, you might be wondering? Well, now we need to do our animations. So we've got all our shots here, and now we need to bring them to life. Now, rather than sit here and write prompts for these all individually, which would take time, I actually have a trick that I have developed over time, and it is actually where I feed AI the images, and it knows what my animation prompting techniques are, and it just does them all for me. So the first thing I need to do is feed these images to Claude. The best way to do that is to do it via contact sheets. And with that in mind, there is this old school app you can get called XNView MP, and one of the things it excels at is precisely this, where you can create contact sheets and then feed those contact sheets to AI. Now, I do 16 images at a time. This app's free, by the way, completely free. This is what it looks like. You get these contact sheets, which look like this. They have the shot number beneath each one. And then we're going to go to a project space called animation prompting. So we send across the first contact sheet and watch what this does. And eventually what you get is this, and it just writes what it sees in real time. See how quick it did that? Let me just show you another one. While we're waiting for this, I'm just going to load up Leonardo here because we're going to make our video over here. I'm going to use Kling. I'm going to make 6-second long clips. And as you can see, Claude has done all our animation prompts in a matter of minutes. So once we've got them, what we can do is start feeding Claude these images. So we can start doing these prompts now. Just paste them across. So all our clips are pretty much made at this point. So what we do is begin downloading them, drag these all across. What we need to do is keep them in order from when they were first created, and then just label them accordingly. So that's our narrative in order. So when we drag these in, we've got 1, 2, 3, you can see they're in the correct order. And we might just want to turn down the volume of these clips.
The way of making a city look honest. It washes.
And then it's just assembly, basically, at this point. You sort of dictate the pacing. I like to do shots which coincide with when the dialogue comes back in. It's just the way I like to time things. So like you can see there's the start of a word there. And I just play with the pacing like this. And yeah, this is easy, basically. Like I'm not even listening to, I'm not even watching what's happening. I'm just judging it by what I'm seeing. Of course, I'll probably go in there and fine tune this. But if I just keep going. Okay, let's just have a quick watch.
Rain has a way of making a city look honest. It washes the blood into the gutters, smears the neon into watercolor, makes the towers look less like monuments and more like gravestones. They say this place has 8 million people. I don't think I've ever met one. Not really. Just customers, informants, predators, machines pretending to be people.
Okay, so this is workable. It's a good starting point. One thing you might want to add from on top of this is music. So for music, we can either use real music, like human-made music on Epidemic Sound, or you could go to Sooner and ask it to create some. I'm going to use Epidemic Sound because I like it, and I do often prefer human-made music. So that will probably do the job.
Rain has a way of making a city look honest. It washes the blood into the gutters, smears the neon into watercolor, makes the towers look less like monuments and more like gravestones. They say this place has 8 million people. I don't think I've ever met one. Not really. Just customers, informants, predators, machines pretending to be people, and people trying desperately to become machines. Funny how those two roads always meet. I wasn't always running. There was a time I believed in the system, worked for them, built things, algorithms that predicted behavior before.
Okay, I think music always adds a lot to a project. Now, as you can see, this is not the full thing. I would need to get the rest of the shots in here and assemble it, but hopefully what you can see is that this is the entire process, start to finish. Essentially, from here, it's just about getting all those clips in and assembling it. This is the process that I use every single time I make a video. You know, obviously, I've built it up over a long time, and over the last year at least, especially since getting monetized. And it's just been a case of trial and error and just constantly refining things and improving them that little bit more each time I do a new video. That is all for this one. I hope you've enjoyed it. I will have a bunch of free resources over on my Skool which will help you replicate this exact process even more. Do come on over there. Love to see you. Come and introduce yourself. If you liked this video, give it a like, subscribe, and a comment. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.